Oil Stream right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, the Edmonton Oilers have a win, and the Oil Stream is presented to you by our great partners at Boston Pizza, where they have the Kid Club card right now, the Kids Club card. You pay $5. The $5 goes to charity. You use the Kids Club card to get 5 kids meals. Great idea at Boston Pizza. A week from today, we will be live on location, Boston Pizza, Kingsway, YouTube Trev's old stomping grounds. I think he might actually come by. We'll put him on the Oil Stream that day. And he's still a regular there now. He's a bar fly. He hangs out there just like he does here behind the door, watching Hernan to make sure everything went okay. What a weird look on his creeper.
Face. He is so
what
creepy.
a creeper. Nielson and Gazzola with you. Tommy, what do you think of my new haircut?
You look very nice.
You think so?
Yeah.
Husk said it might be the nicest haircut I ever got in my life. Any thoughts?
I mean,
no, not the case.
It's very nice.
What's wrong with it? You can tell me. You're the hair
there's
guy.
nothing wrong with it.
You're hesitant.
I just don't know what the standard is for your best haircut ever.
Well,
it's
slightly,
way better
slightly
than your
worse
afro.
than this one.
This one's good.
I don't know. It's a little too low on the sides.
No.
I think so. It's a little too low on the sides, but real nice guy did it. I didn't want to say anything.
And you guys talked about Bronny.
We talked about everything. We talked about G League.
It looks good.
It was awesome.
I'll tell you what. The always wise Ray Ferraro once told me this. The difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut is 1 week.
Yeah, wait 10 days or something like that. Yeah. Well, I think I got a good one. So that's nice. Oil Stream is brought to you by Boston Pizza. Make plans to join us. Kingsway BP's noon hour a week from today. That would be Wednesday, the 23rd is where you can join us. And we'll be on location there at lunch. Hopefully they'll make me a smoked ham and chicken stromboli sandwich. And it'll be a great time for everybody.
You're on an absolute tear with this smoked ham and stromboli sandwich.
It's really the only reason I wanted to start Edmonton Sports Talk. Because I knew we'd have a deal. I knew we'd have a deal with Boston Pizza.
Uh-huh.
And I knew Boston Pizza would probably make me the smoked ham and chicken stromboli sandwich.
Smoked ham and chicken.
If somebody at Boston Pizza would just say, hey, Dusty, we'll make these for you anyway, I'd probably just be working at Save On calling CFL games on the weekend.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which
Forget
I'd be totally fine with.
everything else.
Yeah. What do you do?
This guy's got his smoked ham and stromboli chicken sandwich.
That's all I need. What do you do? What's your other gig? Oh, you have to work in a grocery store? What do you do on weekends? Oh, I call football games on TSN. I work at a grocery store to make ends meet during the week. Yeah, that's probably need a raise at TSN, I guess.
Glamorous life.
Yeah, I guess. All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Duck Dad is in it. Says, Oilers win. Tommy's potential rant of the year postponed for the time being. Is that what was going to happen last night?
I don't think so. No. Although they were playing, like that first period absolutely stunk. They were so bad.
Same old.
Same old. PK 0 for 2 in the first period. It was rocking at a 5 for 12 clip. I tweeted that out. I'm good for them for going 5 for 5 the rest of the way with that 5-on-3 kill. That was huge. It shows that they're still capable of it, and they got.
It's also against the worst power play in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Although
Michkov burned them.
Michkov changes
He's
it a bit.
good. And that Luchenko, I like those guys. And
I didn't even realize Luchenko made the team.
Fantastic. And he was rolled out there against some of the best. I liked the spunk that the Philadelphia Flyers show. And
they won me over a bit last night, too.
Yeah.
They block shots. Right. They're feisty.
Yep, they're feisty. I thought that the Flyers gave the Oilers a great run, and it took a little bit of doing, but the Oilers woke up. I hope, for the sake of all Oilers fans, that yesterday's win and the way they kind of got pissed off and played with some gusto, sets the tone for this road trip that's coming up, because they have 2 tough games, even though Nashville hasn't won yet.
How was the GCL Diesel pre- and post-game show last night?
Lots of fun. Brad Malone making his debut as analyst, filling in for Cass. Great perspective. And, we're lucky. I said it last night on the post-game show. We're super lucky here. I mean, Joaquin was on the damn broadcast last night, crushing it like he always does. We had Bugsy filling in for Cass. Cass is a phenomenal analyst and broadcaster as well. And then we've got Belzy, but Belzy's been tied up with his hockey team.
And a new baby again.
That's
Keep it in your pants,
old.
Belzy.
Mm-hmm. And we're lucky to have the plethora of excellent analysts that we do. And so Bugsy was fantastic. Hernan has been rocking it. Hernan always goes at the start of the show, can you guys hear me? Because his mic was muted.
Okay.
But now he's getting
the hang of things.
He's a
now.
Producer, and he's a great co-host, obviously. Great host on EST Afternoons. Like, it feels like we're starting to find our rhythm, and then maybe too the Oilers at the same time find their rhythm. So last night was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of issues to talk about on the post-game show, despite the fact that the Oilers won the game. And I think, now that we've had a night to decompress,
there are a lot of things to discuss today.
We need to go over some stuff, and I feel like most of the sentiment should be the same, but with a night of rest, we can kind of look at it from a different couple of angles.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. That is the text line here on the Oil Stream. That is how you can get in. Reed Wilkins coming in loud and hot last night.
I love it, and that's another layer to the post-game show that we have.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Reed's in the room. He's sending me quotes. He's like, "Hey, Draisaitl said this about being benched and Knobloch didn't." So we got the heads up, and then we bring Reed on for 5 to 10 minutes, and it adds more depth to the show, and it's cool to see the evolution of it. And the nasties were great yesterday. The texts were excellent. It was a good show. It really was.
All right, so what was the driving force behind the victory last night? Who or what?
I think the consensus, and I'm seeing it in the nasty chat here. I'll go to Tango. Tango says, how important was the Stetcher fight last night? Very. Because even though he's 5'10", going up against a guy who's 6'4", and there was a collision between Couturier and Skinner, Stetcher just going in there and mucking it up and trying to chuck some knucks with Couturier, even though both guys aren't fighters.
He got a couple in there.
Absolutely, he did. And good for him. Good for him, because it got the other guys fired up. And that's why fighting and physicality is important in the game of hockey. You're never going to get rid of it. And then, what was it? The next face-off, it's Perry and
Farabee.
Farabee. Fantastic. And that woke them up, and they started to take over the game. Now, they had built up a little bit of momentum after those penalty kills, and they had a good power play that didn't score, but it generated opportunities. And I think the Oilers, in stretches yesterday, were also able to grab a hold of the momentum.
Yeah, they were.
And then eventually, they pushed and pushed and pushed, and they finally broke through. The fight was important because it kind of set off that sequence.
I totally agree with anybody who answers that question with that answer. What spurred the Oilers on to victory last night? Stetcher standing up for his goaltender, being an undersized guy in a fight. Doesn't matter how big you are, you're going to stand up for your teammate. That's got to keep him in the lineup. Not to mention he's better than the other two options anyway. But I thought the Henrique, Brown, Skinner line was the best line on the ice for the Oilers last night. I'm not even sure if it was close. And I thought when they're down 2-0 and they're trying to push their way back into the game, yeah, they got a goal, but I think consistently they were on it, which is a very positive sign. Noodles is on the Nielson show this morning. I think Trev's going to post that on YouTube a little bit later on today, so you can go watch the entire video. But he basically laid it out. I mean, the big guys, yes, McDavid sets up Bouchard late in the game, but the power play was over. They get on breakaway in overtime. Flyers coverage sucks. They're going to win it in that spot. Mm-hmm. Those guys still weren't good last night. I didn't think they were good last night.
They have not been good this season.
No, and it was the other guys who drove the victory. It was Stetcher and followed by Perry who got them emotionally into the game. You can basically say, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, and if it hurts your feelings because Draisaitl scored the overtime winner last night, then I really don't care. But the depth of this team has carried them into the season, has got them into the fight, no pun intended, this year. Usually, it's 100% the other way around. I know it's just one game, but they hadn't had this game yet. There hadn't been a game where the big guys were good. There hadn't been a game where the bottom six really pushed things. That finally happened last night, and I think is a very positive thing moving forward. And Skinner now has points in 3 straight games. And the one thing that he can do on that Henrique line that nobody else in the bottom 6, they're good play. I still think Henrique's a good player. Brown has some good hockey left in him. The fourth line, two of those guys, their better days are behind them.
I thought they had some good shifts.
No, they
last
did,
night,
but
that fourth
I mean,
line.
I'm not expecting Ryan and Perry to improve throughout the year.
Good point.
I love Perry's start, though, so far. But Skinner can create offense on his own, which none of those other guys really technically can.
Like going into the season, the knock, at least from out of Buffalo, good friend Joe DiBiase was like, Skinner doesn't really generate on his own. He needs to utilize the guys he's with to get him going. But when he's got the puck, he's good. They got them the puck.
Yeah.
Good on him for picking it up. And I called that line kind of like reliable and steady so far this season, which is important. Henrique's coming off a 50-plus point season, right? He's your third-line center. That's pretty good. I know he can moonlight in the top six. Brown, we're expecting more from. He was good in the playoffs. And then whether it's, Skinner up on the second line or the third line, I think there's still opportunity for him to get his chances offensively and to pick up points. And he's going to be in position to score. So, yeah, and that goes to the flexibility of this forward unit where right now we're still searching for Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, Leon Draisaitl to a certain extent. And McDavid made a couple of nice plays, but they've been sloppy.
I know I sound ridiculous even stating this because it's Connor McDavid and because it's like the best power play we've seen in maybe league history in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
But he has to be a threat to shoot on the power play. Like on the power plays they had yesterday, they even gave it to him in a couple of spots where he could have fired a one-timer, and he still just stopped fake and pass it. I get that's what he's brilliant at.
Yeah.
But the year you initiated shooting, you just scored 60 goals. Like, it's okay for Connor McDavid to shoot. I know he's their leader and he's the playmaker and he's a guy who had 100 assists, but a couple times in the power play last night, I was like, man, just fire it.
And
because I think once it gets to McDavid now, people are just like, got to watch. He's going to pass, he's going to pass, he's going to pass, he's going to pass. Sometimes it probably changes the entire way they approach your power play. If he just fired one, even into traffic a little bit and just see what happens, just to mix it up, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to figure it out. It's not necessary, but it looks like it's a non-shooting year for McDavid.
Last year was a non-shooting
That's what I mean.
year.
And look, he'll probably get 100 assists, but it looks like 2 years ago. Remember, he had 100 more shots 2 years ago, and then I don't know. He's brilliant at it. Don't get me wrong. He's brilliant at passing. But a few times you're just like, shoot it, man.
What was the issue with the power play yesterday? Too cute again.
Well, exactly. Yeah, and I that stood out to me because the puck is on his stick so much. It's like, put a couple of them on net and see what Hyman can do.
Yeah.
We know they're trying to get it to Draisaitl for the one-timer. We know option number 2 is getting it to Draisaitl and playing after Bouchard for a one-timer. We know option number 3 is probably McDavid from the left side, flipping it down to Hyman at the side of the goal, and Hyman tries to jam it in.
Yep.
It's just like the odd time from a weird spot, just put one on net as you're buzzing around, right?
Yeah. Well,
but I think he toys with penalty kills so much that he's just waiting to do make the beautiful play, and he does it so often. But just watching the power play last night, power play hasn't been great to start the year.
No.
Power play is over last night, and there's a couple times like Bouchard gave it to him, and I was just like, fire it, and he just makes more brilliant plays. But
playing catch.
Yeah, I don't know. It stood out to me last night more than usual.
They scored that first goal against the Flames doing something very simple. Shot on net, go for the rebound, Jeff Skinner buries it. Even the Corey Perry disallowed goal against Calgary, puck gets up to Stetcher up high, and he sweeps it at the net.
Yeah.
It was just like a quick wrist shot, and Perry tips it home. Now, we could debate all day about the goaltender interference. I know Reed's still fired up about that.
We're going to get to that, yeah.
But the concept was quick pass, puck on net, traffic in front. Look at that. It's in. And I think that there's something to be said for that, and especially early in the season when you're trying to establish yourself and get into a bit of a rhythm, the simplicity could go a long way. And, maybe this power play is trying to run when it just needs to walk first.
J. Siggy Rocker says, put some ketchup on that puck. Just slamming away at it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of funny. All right, so there's lots to get to coming out of last night's game. So we talked about kind of what sparked them. We hit on the power play. Oh, here, quick question on the power play. This came up in 3 Questions Too Many today on the Nielson show, and we were asked of it. I said no, not yet, for a couple of different reasons. One, their power play is ridiculous. Yeah. It will find its way. But we were asked on 3 Questions Too Many today, would you consider switching Nuge off the power play for Jeff Skinner going on the power play? And I said,
yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, I said, like, not yet. And I don't think it'll ever get to that because their power play will eventually start clicking. I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't. And the reason probably wouldn't be, Nuge is letting them down on the power play, even though, as Noodle said this morning, he could be playing the game in a lawn chair right now and nobody would notice. But I do think Skinner would fit fine there if they needed to go there, but
I don't think
it's not going to happen.
That was an interesting conversation on the morning show. I was listening to that, and the first thought I had was, it's not going to happen. But if it did, would it be good? How long will it last? I think it would be a temporary thing.
Probably.
Unless they just go on an unbelievable clip, which they could. But yeah, I think, he's stapled to power play too, Jeff Skinner. Although he is playing well.
The Draisaitl thing, we have to discuss that.
Oh, yes, we do.
Draisaitl takes, it was a penalty. I mean,
it was stupid.
I saw one guy go, Dusty went down. No, it was a completely undisciplined, unnecessary penalty. There was no reason in the world for him to go over there and cross-check him. Like, there wasn't. And then he gets taken out of the rotation for a few shifts after the penalty, and then goes back on the power play. Still played like 23 minutes in the game. I mean, we still got a ton of time.
He was the first star.
Scores the overtime winner. Well, you tell?
You were talking about...
Yeah. I guess I'll see Moisty. Did
Moisty pick it?
Yeah. I kind of felt bad.
I feel bad for
because
Moisty,
in overtime games, it's short notice. It's like, hey, whoever scores the goal, you kind of go for
like
that. So last night on Twitter, I put Draisaitl first star of this game. All righty then, because he wasn't. Let's be honest.
No, he was not.
Leon Draisaitl got benched in this game. There's no way he was the first star.
Did Moisty text you?
But yeah, so Moisty texted. I wake up this morning and Moisty, Dave Moyer, he's done like
he's a
25
legend.
Stanley Cups, 30 Grey Cups. Like he's the stats guy. To be honest with you, he's brilliant to work with. Like when you hear me on a CFL broadcast, as soon as the punt like lands and I'm like 54-yard kick, that's Moisty Mayer being like 54-yard kick, 23-yard return. Like
he's so good.
It makes all of us sound great. So I felt bad. I didn't know that he picked the star. I probably would have criticized it because he's a buddy.
I thought it'd be like Louis, Gene, and Bob.
Yeah, but I think because
Jack.
It's overtime, they're like, Mitchkov's going to be there.
Yeah.
I technically wouldn't have had Bouchard as a star last night either. But
I
that's
would
just
not
me.
either.
Anyway, he goes, hey, bro, I picked the stars. Last check, Leon set up the tying goal and scored the winner in overtime for his 14th career overtime goal.
So he was hurt.
He said he wasn't great all game, but he did win the game for him. Not easy picking stars when they tie it up with a couple minutes left, just saying. So that's what it was.
I didn't know that they put that on Moisty, but like usually it used to be there was a time where at the 10-minute mark of the third period,
a bunch of media would vote on it, right?
You'd get a sheet and said 3 stars, please, and they'd collect them within 5 minutes. And sometimes there'd be an overtime situation. But yeah, so Moisty's in a jam, but regardless, and we feel bad. We're not ripping on Moisty, but like Leon,
he was not the first star of the game.
No, and Bouch, no. But I understand how it comes to that decision. And sometimes
you do look at it and go goal and assist, game winner
goal
and assist, game winner in overtime.
Yeah.
It's anyway, it doesn't matter. But what do we make of, and Rashog asked Knobloch about it after the game. Well, first of all, Draisaitl was asked about it, and Draisaitl basically said, I don't know, you're going to have to ask him. And then
handled that.
Then Knobloch, when asked about it, didn't mention Draisaitl sitting. He just said, we need to take less penalties, essentially paraphrasing. But that's the angle that he took on it. So thoughts on that decision and the way it was handled after the game?
That's 2 times now that Chris Knobloch has sent a message to star players. Jeff Skinner's still a star.
Oh, yeah. Skinner's not Draisaitl, though.
He's not Draisaitl. I know it's not to the same level of, I'd say Draisaitl's a superstar. But that's 2 times in a, 2-week span where he sent a message. And listen, the shot across the bow, as we called it, to Jeff Skinner was a day of practice on the third line instead of on the second line. Message received. He's been a very good player, like we outlined earlier, for this team in the first 4 games. Well played, Chris Knoblauch. And then to skip Leon in a couple of rotations in the third period when you're down a goal, you get him back out there on that power play shift. Yep. I think that's a message too. And Leon handled it fine. Message sent, message received. Scores the game-winning goal, sets up the equalizer right before. That takes cojones. And then, him, Chris Knoblauch, being coy about it in his post-game. Like, the message had already been received and handled, and I think, it can be left at that. They played it well. Both guys handled it just fine. Draisaitl being like, you'd have to ask Chris. He knows. And then Chris kind of dancing around it because he knows Leon got the message.
So move on. Done.
That's what
done.
they're saying. But
move on from there.
It's our job to talk about it because it was a thing.
It was a moment.
Absolutely.
100%.
Maybe it wakes him up.
It's also something that we've literally discussed for the last 5 years here about holding the leadership group accountable. He picked the spot to do it in last night, and it worked out. He got him on the power play. He ends up winning the hockey game. So, yeah.
Do you want to get to keep those texts coming in? 72.
Yeah, there's lots of texts rolling in.
D in the park is just all over it.
Well, I don't.
Let's just go through this.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at it. I'm going, what are we talking about here?
And I think he just started texting in.
Yes, he did.
Like today was the first time he's ever texted in. So,
thank
you very much for texting in. But
Stetcher fight was the first text.
Yeah.
Perry fight too. Yeah, we hit on those. We said
positive
impact they had. We need a better visual technology. That was the fourth text.
I guess we do, maybe? Is that what he's saying?
He's talking about hockey in general.
Oh, okay.
Then follows up with Brown scored last night. Don't know where that came from. We were just pumping Brown.
He said we were criticizing Brown. I don't think
he's been very consistent.
I don't think I said
long.
a bad thing about Brown on the show today.
And then the reply after that was, did you see his last shift? What game did you guys watch? Count posts, says D in the park. Both teams had posts. Those don't count as shots on net. They're close.
Tippett almost put him away for good when he made that move around Kulak, then ran one off the bar.
It off the post. Posts were about even last night. And then D follows up with, everything you're talking about, haha, you dissed Brown, he scored. Then talked about McDavid not doing enough. Did you see his last shift? And then...
His last shift in overtime, 3-on-3? Come on, man. Like, I'm sorry. We don't evaluate 3-on-3 shifts. It's pond hockey out there for 5 minutes. And
he didn't even touch Sanheim.
Well, they touched him a little bit, but there was nothing that
Sanheim
would be deemed
fell.
a penalty there.
But it wasn't like
Sanheim
he was
tried
in
to
there.
sell it, I think.
I think so.
There was a little bit of sketchiness there on Sanheim.
Well, he went down very
That's a big
easily.
boy. He was -3 last night. It was not a good game for Sanheim. No. So yeah, I don't know where this guy's. I think he's listening to the wrong show. Honestly,
yeah, you might be.
You might be listening to the wrong show, man. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Penalty kill. New bodies. Trying to get up to speed. They lost a lot of penalty killers in the offseason. Do you think that's the reason the penalty kill? It has to be. I mean, they have the same penalty killing coach.
Yeah.
They have this system would be close to the same.
The execution has been bad. Like Emberson whiffed on a clearing attempt before the first Michkov goal. He has it at the blue line, literally just whiffs on it, backtracks. Flyers get the puck. They get it down low. No, it was not a good goal by Stu Skinner. People complaining about the jamming it in, pushing the pad into the net. I thought it was a good goal. Like, should have counted. Not a good goal if you're the Oilers because of the sequence of events that led to it. I think it's an execution thing. Yes, maybe you could point at guys not being used to playing with one another, but I don't know, man. I think that's an easy out.
Okay, so that's the penalty kill. Darnell Nurse's best game?
Very steady. Good for him.
It wasn't a high bar.
No, I mean he's been pretty.
I thought he was fine to better than fine last night.
Yeah. And Stetcher was good with him. Stetcher complimented him well. I think it was Al on the post-game shows that said some of the advanced metrics indicated that those two should be an adequate pair together, and they were.
Yeah, they had a small sample size last year that it looked good, and I thought it sort of continued last night.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume those guys probably stay together for both games on the road trip, and then likely a blue line reevaluation under that or something.
Yeah.
What do you think Emerson last night?
Okay. First of all, nice hit. Who did he lay out?
It was Michkov.
It was Michkov.
It wasn't that big of it. It looked bigger than it was like on the
but
replay.
It was good. I liked
yeah.
it. It was the fact that he did that, and I know he caught him cutting across the other way. I asked Bugsy about Emerson, and he goes, well, the eye test hasn't been good. He's not ready. He's going to need some time. I think Bugsy even suggested he might need more time in the AHL, but he's played the last 3 seasons in the AHL. Played last year, obviously, the 30 games with San Jose. But Bugsy would have played against him when he was in Tucson, and Brad was the captain of the Condors. And then even Hartford, maybe they played each other. I know Hartford's way out in the Eastern Conference, but it's going to, I think what's clearly apparent numbers, eye test wise, is that the Emerson situation is going to take time and patience. And at some point, it starts to click for him and he finds some rhythm. If they're winning games, it makes it easier to swallow some mistakes here and there. When they're losing, he's costing them goals like he did on the whiffing of the clearing attempt.
Yeah.
Then the spotlight gets put on him and the heat turns up.
He skates like an NHL defenseman.
Yeah, he does.
Like he moves well. His decision making and his puck handling look like a guy who's played 33 games in the National Hockey League.
Puck touches have been rough.
Which is exactly what he is.
Yeah.
This is the project that you have. Find spots for him. Find spots for Dermott.
Yep.
Play him with Kulak. Leave Stetcher with Nurse for the foreseeable future. And go from there on the blue line.
I don't think his minutes were that big either last night.
I thought they limited him in the third.
10 minutes.
Yeah, because there was a few times in the third where Nurse was out with Kulak, and I thought, okay, and it made sense.
Yeah,
you dial Emerson back in some of those situations.
Insulate him, as you said.
780-218-9999. 780-218-9999 is the text line. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us and sub to the channel. We just surpassed 10.4K as we work our way up towards 11,000 subs. So whether you're watching live or archived, or you're listening to the Oil Stream podcast on those different platforms, or if you're listening live on TuneIn or iHeart, slide on over and give us a sub on the channel as well. Lots of comments to get to. The one thing we have to get to is your Popeyes spicy headlines. And there was one spicy conversation coming out of the game last night. If you're looking for a bite to eat for lunch today, Popeyes classic chicken sandwich will always get the job done. And if you're looking to bring something back for the crew at the office, load up on some boneless or bone. Get both types. Get both types of wings. That way you're pleasing all your employees. There will be some who like bone-in wings, and there'll be some who like boneless wings.
They're very filling from Popeyes.
They are.
They are.
You only need like 5. Yeah. That's lunch. Like 5 Popeyes wings is lunch.
You got me on the blackened chicken sandwich.
You're welcome.
Blackened ranch, too.
The dip.
Or the dip.
Yeah, the dip's good, too.
And the sandwich is great as well.
Yeah, they're both real nice. Mm-hmm. All right, the spicy conversation, the spicy headlines coming out last night. Obviously, goaltender interference. What was the reaction like on the GCL Diesel postgame show last night to 2 calls that went against the Oilers?
I didn't see a ton.
People were just so happy with the win?
I think so. I think people like more of the fight and the spark, a lot of the benching, let's call it, or the skipped shifts in the rotation. That got most of it. There is frustration with the officiating. I'll say this. The officiating has been bad across the board in every game that I've watched this year, whether it's been an Oiler game or another. I was watching Pittsburgh-Montreal the other night, and I was like, what is going on out there? And my dad was like, what the hell was that call? I'm like, well, the bar is pretty low right now, and all these guys are blowing calls. The war room in Toronto on reviews, I have no... I feel like they're just guessing at this point, too, trying to redefine and figure out the definition of some of these rules, goalie interference being one of them. Listen, I thought that the Perry goal, or the one where he interfered with, was it Vladar the other night? That was brutal. Just a brutal call, blown completely. But then yesterday, it was Hyman blowing by Ersson and just catching his blocker. That one, I'm like, okay, I don't like it. I like the concept of fighting for positioning in and around the crease. You're not
at the top of the crease. Like Hyman's feet were right on the edge / outside of the crease. His ass on the way through was a little bit inside the crease. But even after he had the slight bump, Ersson was still fine. But then Ersson's own defender had more contact on the blocker, and then it goes in blocker side. So,
and now the goalies, they know this, and they're taking advantage, and you see them. And listen, the Oilers goaltenders are not angels in this situation
I saw Skinner. Well, we'll get to Skinner in a second. Let's just continue the conversation.
But goalies know now that they can just sell it a little bit, and they're going to get the goal waved off. Like, you saw the refs right away wave it off, and people were celebrating. I'm like, look, they're waving it off because he had his blocker brushed by. I kind of miss battling for position, commanding the crease. That's gone. That's what sucks. That's just very frilly hockey, and that part of it I don't like.
It's kind of the reason, and I tweeted it before the ruling came down on the Michkov goal. I said, even if they call this back, I hate that for hockey. Mm-hmm. Like, the puck was loose the entire time. You should be able to battle for it, even if it's in the paint. And now I know. So I thought that should have been a goal. I thought they both should have been goals. I thought that should have counted, and it did. And I thought the Hyman screen goal should have counted as well.
But you knew it wasn't going to.
Yeah,
because
it wasn't
of the precedent.
But this is the thing. That's what they've done. It's like, I'm going to have to start watching more games around the league to see if they're calling this close all the time.
Yes, they are. It's ridiculous.
But then
sometimes they let, depending on who's working the war room or whatever, what the rest of that crew's seeing, sometimes they'll be like, no, that was good. And you go, well, what the hell happened last night in that other city, in that other game that was less egregious than that one? And they called it off.
Well, the one comparison I threw out last night happened in the Tampa Bay-Vancouver game last night.
Right.
Where Tampa had a goal called back for a similar situation, stick on a goalie, puck went in. Now, the difference there, and I can't remember who said it last night. I watched a lot of your post game. I was just on whatever they run out for Sportsnet, like right after the game.
Yeah.
Was it Justin Bourne last night? I can't remember who said it. It was on one of the shows somewhere. But basically, the difference possibly in, or maybe it was Noodles this morning, whatever. I was trying to figure out what was the difference between the two plays. And I think in that Tampa-Vancouver game, the goaltender had kind of got down and got his glove sort of on it, and then the poke into the glove and pushed it in. I didn't see a good overhead view of that one. So I might be wrong, but I was trying to think the differences. This one was,
when a goalie has it covered, he's won that battle.
When the puck's loose, I mean,
it's fair game.
I always say flip it the other way. If Connor McDavid's digging for that puck and bangs it in the way it was, and they called that thing back, Oilers fans would be furious.
Of course they would.
You'd be losing your mind. So you have to try to find, like the Perry one the other night. Like, fans on both teams, media nationally across the league were like, what the hell is going on here?
Patty Steinberg doing color for that game.
Eric Francis called it out.
Yeah, Pat, I'm watching the review, and I'm looking at the TV that's just above the Flames radio broadcast booth, and I see them make the call, and I look at Patty, and he's like this. He's like looking at Derek Wills like, I don't know. He's like, that should have been a goal. Even Pat knows. But
Steinberg doing color all the time for them?
I don't know if he was just because they have Megan Mickelson as well.
Yeah,
Patty was up here for it, and I could see his reaction because I saw him right beside the TV that I was looking at. And even Patty knew. He's like, "What the hell was that call?" It's super frustrating, and I don't know if it's ever going to get better. I mean, we collectively in hockey have created this weird standard or gray area, and review has become ridiculous. Reed was going on about like the length of review. That's fair. Like it's gotten just stupid.
Noodles did bring it up earlier today. He said, guys, this morning, Connor F says Noodles this morning mentioned Skinner being off balance and not strong on post, so got pushed off easy. And he did get moved kind of easily. Yeah. I thought Noodles, that was a fair comment. So even like when the members of the goalie union, like Gager and Noodles, are like, that's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can be furious with it.
I had no issue with it.
Now, here's a good point, and I know Reed Wilkins today on the Reed Wilkins Show from 3 to 6 is going to have more to say on this. He was not overly pleased with the rulings last night. And
No, he
Hernan and Gager, EST Afternoons coming up from 1 to 3 here as well. But Reed last night tweeted, no consistency. Oh, he was quote tweeting one of my tweets.
Oh, look
Just
at
notice
that.
that now. No consistency. Get rid of video review except for checking if the puck crossed the line. It's making things less clear. And I got time for that. So if you have to review it to see if the puck was across the line, that's good. But there's no more interference review. Refs just have to straight up make the call on the ice.
Good.
And we just have to live with it.
Tough it out.
And if you think it was that, you can't bitch about it because there's no more video review. Would you rather have it this way or would you rather have it that way?
I'd rather have it the way Reed described.
Yes.
Battle for the blue paint, man. Those are the tough areas. That's where you go to score. Now it's the goalies are soft because they just flop, or the players, it's not a battle zone anymore. You rarely see it. And I like establishing a presence in the crease, fighting for positioning. I respect that. That's hockey to me. Whatever this is now is just, like I said, it's frilly. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. It's led to stupid, boneheaded calls and decisions. It's very frustrating. Kicked in or determining if the puck went in, sure. But where we're at now, it's dumb. Nothing but confusion's come out of it.
780-218-9999. Guys, get rid of the offside reviews taking away goals too. Guys, a millimeter offside, a goal gets called back 45 seconds later. I would also be fine with that taken out. I mean, we put it in because of the most ridiculous offside of all time, where you could have just come out and said, hey, officials totally blew that, but for the most part, offside is completely fine. Like the Arvidsson goal the other day. Or the one that got called back because Arvidsson was slightly offside. Nothing to do with the play. A hair offside.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly offside,
yeah,
but a hair offside, and the goal gets called back. Like, if you're a league that wants more entertainment and you're a league that wants more goal scoring with a generation of players coming up more skilled than any we've ever seen before, enough with this tic-tac garbage review after review after review to just see if there's any sort of limited contact here or if this skate was just a little bit. It's just, that's not the spirit of the game. I don't think it's in the spirit of the game.
And it also makes the officials who are on the ice somewhat irrelevant, or takes away some 100%
it does. Why would they have to do their job to its utmost potential if they know they can just go back and review a bunch of this stuff anyway and not be worried about it? You know, I don't know. It's a little frustrating. Staying with the goaltending thing, what did you think of Skinner last night? Getting, as Eric says, they kind of took the bump. Like he knew what he was doing.
Yes.
And as Eric said, we were talking about the EST big moment that happened last night. Eric said, the Stetcher fight doesn't happen if Skinner just skates back into his net,
right,
and doesn't brace for contact.
Takes the bump.
And he took the bump. I mean,
yeah, he did.
The bump that Skinner took last night behind the net might be the turning point for the season.
Well,
you never
a guy
know.
like that's pretty wise to begin with the mustache of that stature.
Should that have been a penalty?
Is he outside the crease? Yes.
I've always been. I mean, if a goalie's outside the crease,
they should be fair game.
They should be fair game.
Yep.
We protect them so much inside the crease. If they come outside the crease, you have to know what you're getting into. He knew what was going to go down.
But the goalie should be fair game. But if you are willing to take a run at a goalie, you're also willing to accept the consequences, which is what we saw. And I can appreciate that. So good for Skinner. His game overall, though. The first goal I didn't love. The Michkov. Listen, Michkov scored basically from a Draisaitl angle. This kid is. I was very impressed with him yesterday.
I like
that second
him.
goal. So Skinner was able to buckle, and then the third goal, his own defenseman put it in his own net on a redirection right in front of him. I think he's been good. He had some really nice sequences and made some good saves. I think these last two starts, he's looked more like the Stu Skinner, everyday goaltender, all-star caliber type of guy.
When we were talking about things that were driving their success last night, and it was like fight. Mm-hmm. It was the Connor Brown line. McDavid and Draisaitl finished finally. I think low-key Stuart Skinner, second half of the game, was a driving force behind the victory.
He helped calm them down.
He made 3 or 4 and I haven't looked at like the grade A chance analytics, but just by watching the game last night, there was 3 or 4 stops he made in the second half of the game where I thought, oh, wow, real nice.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
Good positioning. For the most part, they were all just good positioning, good movement saves. But he made them. They had to have them, and it led to a victory.
Yes.
So,
and you need that from him. So it feels to me that he's trending in the right direction. I've liked his last 2 games. You're right. That first goal stunk. Weak on the post. Second goal, in all honesty, I thought Michkov, great shot. Some of these guys, they just know how to do it. Draisaitl being a perfect example of that from that angle. And then the third one, redirection by his own guy. I thought he made some great saves, especially in the second period.
Penner's Pancake says, guys, Skinner totally planned that. You could see how he braced himself. And this text is in. It says, Skinner was so blatant there, he almost could have got called for interference himself. You know what it did?
Good. At least recognition from Oilers fans. Good.
Well, you know what it kind of looked like? It looked like he was setting a pick in basketball. It looked like because he kind of moved that one foot a bit and then sort of braced himself.
Yeah.
It's I like Stuart Skinner playing the chess game. You know, he gets slashed in the back of a leg, wasn't happy about it.
No.
Next game comes out, legitimately sets the pick in behind the net, draws the contact, and has his team engage in a scrap that essentially gets them emotionally invested in a hockey game for the first time this year.
Well done. Stu Skinner, you brilliant mastermind.
He's a smart boy.
He knew that's how it would happen. He's a smart boy.
He's a smart boy indeed.
Yeah.
780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Those are your spicy headlines for Popeyes. Got a little bit carried away on that goaltender interference conversation, but fully expected. Fully expected. The Oil Stream is presented to you by Boston Pizza. Make plans to join us. We'll be live next Wednesday, Kingsway BP, and myself and Tommy will be there. I think YouTube Trev is going to be in the house as well. Trev probably want to get on fish bowls. He's a big fish bowl guy. He's talking to me today. He goes, I said last Friday, because we had beer of the week last Friday.
Yep.
And the beer of the week pours lately have been way too much. They've been grabbing these full-size glasses and filling them up. So
I've seen this.
We had like 4 beers in, I don't know, 8 minutes.
And in the morning, your stomach,
Well, I had a
anything.
headache like instantly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was mixing like a regular like lager with like the brown, like the darker ale.
Maybe.
So anyway, I had a headache. Trev was just like, yeah, he goes, I went to Boston Pizza in the afternoon and just got on the fish bowls. And I said, what is the mix in a fish bowl at Boston
Lots
Pizza?
of sugar.
And he said it's usually a triple, but because he goes to Kingsway where he worked for a few years.
Where we found him and discovered him.
That's where we first found YouTube, Trev.
Yes.
Like a little bunny that'd been abandoned by its mother bunny because it was too weak to keep up with the group.
Come to us.
We're like, you're with us now. You're going to live with me now.
I love you.
Anyway, he said when he goes, because they know him, it's like 5 or 6.
Good.
5 or 6 shots in the fishbowl. When was the last time you had a fishbowl?
I think when they unveiled them in their summer menu last year.
The summer menu. We were on location.
Yeah.
Not this summer, last summer.
Yeah, I think I had one then.
We were wearing the what do they call them? Malay? We were wearing the
lei and the funny glasses. They had the Hawaiian theme going.
And we did have
Tara hooked us up. It was great.
We were at a hockey tournament, and I can never remember the name of the town. Northwest of the city, only like 45 minutes away.
Morinville?
Nope, further west than Morinville. I thought it started with a W. What else is up there?
Whitecourt?
Whitecourt. No, Whitecourt I think is further. How far is Whitecourt?
Oh, maybe Whitecourt's like an hour and a half.
Anyway, we were up there and we went to Boston Pizza for dinner. And Tammy, I said, I'll go over early, get us a table. I thought I was going to be busy. Mm-hmm. And I think the others were playing. So I went over and Tammy and the kids roll in and I got a fishbowl. I sit there with a fishbowl. Tammy looks at me. She goes, what are you doing? I said,
thirsty.
It's Friday night. We're at a hockey tournament.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a fishbowl. Yeah.
You know what?
Westlock. That's the
Westlock.
one. Westlock has a Boston Pizza.
Nice.
Or the town right next to it does. There's a Boston Pizza up there.
Sometimes you don't want a beer. You don't want like a cocktail. You want something different. You go with something colorful, you know?
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, mix it up. You don't want a highball. Like, I can't just have a rum and Coke, you know, or Ryan Coke. Give me something. Let's.
That's what I had in the fishbowl. It was just
vodka
as much rum as you can
legally
legally put in it.
Yeah.
And then Diet Coke. It was really yummy.
Fish bowls are good.
Anyway, I'm sure Trev will be in some fish bowls.
Fishbowl, Bulldog, those are like treats, you know? Every now and then.
That's a little treat for you.
Go for it. Yeah.
Treat yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And treat yourself at Boston Pizza. 2-game road trip. Quick road trip.
Yes.
We'll be looking at the Nashville Predators, who have not won yet this year.
Crazy.
And then the Dallas Stars in an afternoon game on Saturday. 4 points up for grabs. If they take them both, they come home to begin another little mini homestand at 500.
Yep.
YouTube Trev this morning said he doesn't think they're going to get any points from the trip.
I know.
I said I could see them winning one and losing one in overtime or a shootout. So I said 3. Lieutenant Eric said 2. Nashville hasn't won yet. So there's that motivation. Obviously, Nashville's going to be hungry to get a dub, but the Oilers and Draisaitl usually play well against Nashville.
Yes, they do.
And then Dallas is just a early season sort of 2 cup contenders clashing. What do you expect from this 2-gamer?
I'm going to start by saying I think Trev is optimistic they win both, but he's going like reverse psychology to psych himself up.
That's a good point.
He does that. I know him. I'll say they win both.
You think they're going to take both, eh?
I'll say they win both. Maybe they're awake now. Maybe they realize they have to dig in a little bit. Oh, God, we got to stop using that term.
Yeah, well, it is a very generic hockey term.
It is very generic, but, just the relevance of it now. But anyway, maybe they've woken up, and maybe a quick trip to Nashville gets them going. Dump on the Preds, who are having early season woes like the Oilers were up until last night. And then I think maybe the Dallas Stars bring the best out of the Oilers. And the Oilers played really well in Dallas and have for the last couple of years. The Oilers have also gotten over their franchise stigma of being bad on afternoons.
That's no longer a thing. Games. It's a thing of the past.
They've turned that around in recent years, and maybe that continues this Saturday. It's not going to be easy, but maybe a couple of stiff tests, a feisty, angry Nashville team, and then a team that you ended their season last year. Get the Oilers on their toes, playing their best hockey, sharpening them up. If that does happen, I think if it unlocks the Oilers at their best, I think Edmonton wins.
Do you think they're woken up? Do you think the final 10 minutes and an overtime, because their first period was not good.
The second they took the momentum away.
They did. Philly got it back by going ahead again.
But that was a gift from the Oilers.
Yeah. Yeah, but they still
gave it to them, yeah.
There was another one. It was Ekholm. Remember the play? Ekholm gave it away right at the side of the net?
And Bouchard.
That was so bizarre. I couldn't believe it was him. I thought for sure. I was like, oh, that's Nurse. And then it was Ekholm. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's that about? I can't remember who he gave it to, but gave it to him 5 feet to the left of the net. And it was...
Unlike him.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah. Get those out of the system right now.
I'm not going to officially say they're back just yet.
I think they could be by the end of this week.
Yeah.
I'm being optimistic. I understand that. I don't want to be pessimistic. I think this team is capable of much, much better, like most people. And as soon as they remember how to do it, and it does take a little bit of grit and determination, which we saw last night, then maybe they're back on their way.
Let's just say conservatively they split.
Sure.
Okay.
Which could happen.
Beat Nashville, lose to Dallas. Let's just say that. So then they come home at 2-4, which people would still be reeling a little bit.
Of course.
They come home, they get Carolina, and then another return of Jesse Puljujarvi and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes.
Also, Sidney Crosby will be here as well.
Yeah.
And Malkin, who I think is tied for the league in scoring right now.
He just got his 800th assist.
What's he got? 7 points? He's right up there. I saw him on the leaderboard today. So they let's say they split Nashville and Dallas. So they come home, they're 2-4. They would have 5 remaining games in the month. They get Carolina at home, Pittsburgh home, then on the road for Detroit, Columbus, and the Nashville Predators. If they're 2-4 coming home, they've got those 5 games left.
Those are all winnable games.
Yeah.
I think Carolina is on a downward trajectory.
I mean, there's some good teams in there. I don't think...
Which one?
Well, I don't think Carolina I don't think Detroit's a pushover when you're a team that's lost to Chicago and Calgary already this season.
Yeah.
If the Oilers were 4-0 right now, I totally get where you're coming from. But I don't see... the Oilers are better on paper than everybody they've played so far. They're 1-3. They're better on paper than Carolina, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Columbus, and Nashville.
Yes.
But I'm not sure, it means that. I would think if they come back 2-4, they win at least 3 of those next 5, and they're 5-6 to wrap the month.
That's not good enough.
No, but it's not bad after an 0-3 start. That means you went 5-3 the rest of the way.
I don't like it.
What's going 5-3? What's that percentage?
That puts them at 6-6.
625.
Yeah.
Like, you play 625 hockey most of the year, you're going to be in a pretty good spot.
Should be.
And that's after an 0-3 start to still just get to 5-6.
Oh, guessing those Chicago and Calgary games sucks.
Yeah, but Calgary's 4-0.
Amazingly.
Yeah.
They'll bottom out. Don't worry. It's happening.
Mex says, guys, if they're projecting to be the best, every game should be a winnable game. Well, that's
Thank
the
you.
thing. But some
That's
teams,
how it should be with this team now.
So you expect them to go 82-0?
No, but they should go into every game legitimately believing and knowing they're capable of winning against any team that they face,
But
regardless of other teams' cup contender status.
I don't think they're good as front runners, though.
Obviously, they don't handle accolades very well. It gets to their head in the worst way, which is ridiculous. But this team should have the swagger and belief going into every single game, knowing that it should and could win that game. It's up to them to dictate whether they win or not. And I know the other team's trying hard, and I know there's other good teams in the NHL, but this is where the Oilers have elevated themselves, finally, after 30 years of dog poop.
Yeah.
And a lucky run in 05-06.
30 years of dog poop.
Yeah, I'm being nice.
Big Brain Jay says 7-3 and 10. Yeah. Let's see how much they build. Like, if they come out against Nashville and play the way they did against Philly in the first period, I don't know what you like. Last night just reeked of what we saw so many times last year.
I know.
It's like fall behind, crank it up a notch, McDavid and Draisaitl win it for you late.
I know. And Liquid Beaver says, Tommy, I see you haven't learned anything about this team, and laughs about it. I know exactly what you mean, but at some point, you got to get good enough and break through and show everybody that those old habits of the past have been shaken off. And I mean, now would be the time, Liquid Beaver, but I totally understand. And I'm being optimistic. But yes, Dusty. Yes.
All right.
It's just now I feel like Reed, where I'm getting frustrated, but more so Oilers and how they play as opposed to officiating. I'm like, start winning because you're better. You finally got to this plateau. Flex on teams.
Ooh, I like it.
Honestly.
Flex on teams.
Flex on teams.
They haven't done that yet.
No, which is ridiculous. They should.
That's why I said I don't think those 5
changeover.
last games, they're all completely winnable.
I think they should be able to win all of those. And watch, they won't. And people, I told you so. Yes, I get it. But the best teams have no self-doubt. Night in, night out. And the Oilers have put themselves in a position to earn that ability. You can't. Anyway, sorry. It's a philosophical hockey
fire at the end of
discussion.
the oil stream.
Yeah,
It's good. All right, coming up next, we do have EST Afternoons. Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage are going to be popping in. They will continue with the conversation. The Edmonton Oilers finally in the win column. You hit on Michkov a little bit. I really like him.
Me too.
He is in
Very
the fight.
good player.
He's in the middle of it.
Feisty little bugger.
Shifty with the puck.
Yep.
Holds on to it, like is patient with it. To be able to do that this early in his NHL career, they got a good one.
Yes, they do.
They got a good one. He's
Well
going to be a
done.
fun guy to watch. There's no doubt about that. Worth the brief wait, I guess they had to wait to get him. Not as long as they originally had expected. EST Afternoons coming up. That'll be a chance for you to get in on the EST Flyaway to LA, presented by 780. And then the Reed Wilkins Show from 3 to 6. I don't know if Reed will still be a hot tamale.
I hope
they got
is.
a new segment called Fired Up. Might have picked the right day to launch that bad boy.
Oh, he's spicy.
The Oil Stream presented to you by Boston Pizza. Make plans to join us next Wednesday. We'll be live on location at the Kingsway BPs. For Tom Gazzola, I am Dustin Nielson. Congratulations to the Oilers in the win column for the first time this season. That will do it for the Oil Stream today.
So excited.